Good evening, guys. Good afternoon. Good morning. Whatever time it happens to be. How is everybody doing? We're going to be talking about what I believe is actually a grand conspiracy, but we will get into that. I'll just let people get in. Then we're going to get into that conversation. I'm not going to be doing any fancy stuff, so we're just going to talk. We're going to have a good talk, a good conversation about what I think is going on, you know. Welcome everybody. As I said, as you come into the live show, always announce yourselves in the comment section, in the chat, so that I know who is in here. Always announce yourselves in the chat. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? Everybody like and share the live. Like and share the live. I will be getting up on my Twitter. Not my Twitter, my TikTok. Let me get my TikTok account open to get over there with my TikTok for family and get them in the mix as well. So, what's going on, everybody? What is going on? Have you guys been following this particular story? We're going to talk about a bunch of things. So, not only this, we're going to talk about a bunch of things. In fact, you know what? I don't think I'm even going to go in there. I think I'll just stay here so that I can focus. I don't think I'm going to try and stream to like all these multiple locations. We'll just confuse the issue. David Uda, how are you doing? It's been a while. David Uda, how are you? Let me actually take my lights down a little bit. It's too bright. Put it about there. Okay. I think it's too bright. That's a little better. Let's put it about there. There we go. The thing was a little bit too shiny. The light was too bright. What's happening, everybody? Yes, so we're going to be talking about the migrants. Everybody, like I said, announce yourselves as you come in. Announce yourselves as you come in. Always give a little bit of leeway at the top of the show to give people some time to get situated before we actually start talking about what we need to talk about. Before we talk about what we need to talk about, I let people get themselves situated a little bit, and then we get into the meat and drink. I'm good. I'm all right. I'm surviving. I could complain, but I won't. So I won't even say I can't complain. I could definitely complain, but I'm not going to complain. I could definitely complain, but I am not going to complain. But we are going to be getting into some very serious conversation today. I mean, like some dead serious conversation. Some very, very serious conversation. You know? But as I said, everybody announce yourselves as you come in. I know we've got a few people in here already. Make sure that you share, comment, share, like the live so that the algorithm picks it up so we can actually get this out to as many people before we get this show on the road. Mansa Musa. I've started using my Mansa Musa mug. I'd been using my Obalvoronwen before now, but I was like, you know what? Let me start using my Mansa Musa gold, the gold touch. See, the gold touch mug. Let me start using the Mansa Musa. So I've started. You can pick yourselves up one of those, the Kings of Africa mugs, in the shop below. Oh my goodness, guys. That, you know what? Like I said, and I'm just giving a little bit of time for folks before I get into my thoughts on this. I actually feel like there's a grand conspiracy going on. Like a real, and it's like, do you know what I think? I think that the conspiracy is a multi-layered situation because the kinds of stuff that I'm seeing happening, it's so ludicrous when it comes to the migrant situation in Colorado. It's Ohio. I keep saying Colorado. Ohio. It's Springfield, Ohio. Why do I keep saying Colorado? I don't know. Denver, I think because there were some things going on in Denver before, and there were migrant situation in Denver, and I keep confusing that with the Haitians in Ohio. Can somebody clarify this for me? Are there also is it also happening in Denver as well? Because for some reason I've got that ingrained in my head. In Ohio, thank you. Yeah, Darlene X. Thank you. And David Duda, well, welcome. You know, it's Ohio, but aren't there also isn't there also a situation going on in Denver, Colorado? Or is that Venezuelans gangs? Guys, if you actually take on board what is going on in America, you will think that the country is actually under siege. Like, if you actually looked at face value of the stories that you're reading, you would believe that the country is actually under siege from foreign entities. You would think it's under siege. We're going to break everything down today. I'm not even going to be bringing, this is straight dialogue. We're not going to be bringing charts and I don't do any of that sort of charts and diagrams. This is straight dialogue. Yeah, and the Venezuelans, that's in Colorado, right? Joshua Alote. That's why I'm confusing it, because that is a separate thing that is going on in Denver with migrants in Denver. That's the Venezuelans in Denver, right? There you go. That's it. That's why I'm confusing it. There's a gang in Denver from Venezuela, and the Haitians are in Ohio. That's what it is. Then the Mozambicans are in Seattle. Then the Nigerians are in Houston. The Ethiopians and Somalians are in New York. Everybody is taking over America. That's what's happening. Everybody is taking over America. Guys, do not fall for the okie doke. Nothing that you're seeing is what it seems. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Nothing you're seeing is what it seems. Everybody introduce yourself in the chat. I want to know who is in here. Everybody introduce yourself in the chat. I want to know who is in here. Introduce yourselves. I know Dasi Darlene X, Joshua Lotti, David Uda. Who else is in the chat? Who else is listening in? It's going to be a serious show. It's going to be a serious show. Hey, listen, we're going to talk about it. Just chill. Let me tell my Patreon people that I'm on. Let me tell my Patreon community that I'm on. All right. We know what's going on. Some of us know exactly what's going on. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. We know what's happening. See, there's some guys who get bamboozled. We are not bamboozleable anymore. Well, everybody's bamboozleable, but certain guys is much more difficult to boozle them, you know. You can bam, but you can't do the boozle. You can't do both. That's the situation that we're in right now, because only a clown looks at these stories and thinks it actually is what it is. All of a sudden, it's just out of the blue, just before an election, the country is under siege from oh man, they're flooding the board, everything. Really? Really? You really think so? Where was all this chaos 2 years ago? 18 months ago? Well, 18 months has been, no, actually 18 months ago. 5 years ago, there certainly wasn't any of this going on. How did this suddenly start happening? Because remember, there have been Haitians in America, migrants, for like 40 years. When I was in New York, in school in New York, like not to even give away too much about my own situation, but when I was in school in New York, there were Haitians everywhere. Like, what are you talking about? There was migrants, there were Asian immigrants everywhere. So it's as if this is like a new thing that all of a sudden they're just flooding and this is not even accounting for the actual history of America and Haiti, and the fact that America should have nothing to say about Haitian immigrants coming to America. Like, it shouldn't, based on what you have contributed to the chaos that's going on in Haiti, the contribution that you guys have made to that, to the destabilization of that country. You want to start complaining about people trying to leave there to come to America? Nah, man, you got to keep your mouths shut. This is what happens when guys don't know history. The result of not knowing history is what we're looking at here. When guys actually start criticizing Haitians for coming to America, pun intended, the movie Coming to America, when you start criticizing Haitians for coming to America, it shows that you don't know what you're talking about, because you clearly do not know what is going on over there. America is the last country to have anything to say about Haitians coming to America, with the kind of nonsense that they've pulled over there. To even compound things, and this is the thing that actually makes it even more ridiculous. Why are you treating Haiti this way? Well, we know why, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Why are you treating Haiti this way, but other migrants coming to America is a different situation? Like, that's what I don't even understand, why people cannot see a double standard going on. And second of all, when you now try to start labor, and listen, guys, this is all meander, because like I said, we're going to break it down a little bit better, but this is just off the top of my head now. I'm just talking. When you start messing people around like this, and you start trying to use them as scapegoats for everything that is going on, everything that's wrong with your society, you know that there's a problem afoot. Because let me tell you this, right? There's a lot of guys out there who couldn't wait for somebody to say something about, because remember, now it has switched from Haitians to Africans. That's the latest as of the last 48 hours. It's now no longer Haitians, it's Africans now in Ohio. Africans. That's the latest. Now it's like, oh, no, it's not Haitians. And the reason why that happened is because they couldn't prove they were Haitians. There was no evidence. So they're like, okay, we've got to find some black people who are doing something over there. All right, let's just say they're Africans. So it's no longer the Haitians anymore. Guys, I'm giving you the hottest news off the press. That is the latest as of the last 48 hours, that the headlines have now switched from, or the people on the Twitter and all over the social media have stopped saying that it is Haitians and they say it's Africans. Hence why I'm talking about, in fact, even if it was just Haiti, I'd be talking about it on the platform, but I'm now doubly talking about it on the platform because now they're trying to say it's African immigrants eating animals and pets and so forth in Ohio. Because Africans are always the easy target, because you can say anything about Africans and people will believe you. The Africans, they're human sacrifice. Yes, it's true. The Africans, they are beheading people and putting them in the fridge. Yes, it's true. You can say anything about Africans, it's the truth. It's unbelievable, because you just say these things and guys believe it. That's what we're talking about today, guys. Welcome to the show. Iron Kitten 83, what's going on? Iron Kitten. What kind of name is that? It's like, I mean, what's that inspired by? What is that inspired by? Welcome to the show, everybody. Everybody who's in here, if you're listening, drop a like on the show and leave a comment. Everybody drop a like and leave a comment. It helps with the algorithm so that the show can be shown to more people and shown to more of the following, so more people can be aware that it's on. Everybody who is in here, doesn't matter what you say, drop a comment, a like, let us get the algorithm going. Always as scapegoats, yes, 100%. Look, basically, this is the thing, right? And let me just do some preamble here for just the history of this situation. Is that, look, the migrant crisis, and I don't know whether to call it a crisis, because this is something that has already been going on. So I think this has been they're flaring something up again that already existed. There were already migrants in America. There were immigrants all over the country. But what has happened is that post pandemic, and with the homelessness and the situation that has happened post pandemic, there has been an uptick in a lot of problems in American society, period, with crime, homelessness, and so on and so forth. Now, that has caused a lot of people in the, and this is just me saying what I'm saying, has caused a lot of people in America to stop being divided and start looking at the issues from a more unified standpoint. Is that we're all getting screwed over here, so on and so forth. What is going on? Now, once that happens, all of a sudden you have a situation where a migrant crisis just flares up out of nowhere. And the reason why I say out of nowhere is that what policies changed? I don't understand it. Like what happened in the United States that this just, was there a law that got changed that said, hey, everybody from around the world come to the country? Was there a war that suddenly broke out in South America and Haiti and so forth that is a new conflict that is causing this to happen? Was there a new war that happened in East Africa and more planes are being flown? Like, you see what I'm trying to tell you here? Like, what happened? Somebody needs to explain that to me, because I know you can't, because nothing changed. The only thing that has changed here is that there is now more of a, which is why I said that I'm being a conspiracy theorist here, and I don't even think it's a conspiracy. I think it's common sense. I don't think it's a conspiracy. I think it's common sense. Something is going on, guys. Something's going on. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. You've got a presidential debate. Anyway, we'll get to that. Points in case. You've had the issues in New York. We know about those. So they're talking about migrants and this and that and so on and so forth. Then the Biden-Harris administration, for some reason, I've been, you read all the stories about all the money that they're giving to migrants and the housing and the thing. And you sit there, you wonder that, wait a minute, what is going on here? Why is this happening? This is a genuine question that, how is this suddenly a thing? First of all, you say you don't have money for reparations, you don't have money for healthcare, you don't have money, but you have money for random people coming to the country? Guys, I'm talking about, this doesn't make any sense. You have no money for your own citizens, but you have money for random people coming to the country. Now, again, I made this point when talking about Ukraine, because I said the same thing, that you're giving Ukraine billions of dollars a month. Is insane that you've managed to sell that to the American people. It's insane. How did you sell that to them? Bottom of the bottle, welcome. Oh, Virgil. Virgil is the one who even told me that I should die about this story is worth covering for today's show. Virgil is in my Patreon. So that's actually, he's the one who was saying that, you might want to talk about this. Virgil, do you have audio? Let me bring Virgil into the show. Let me bring Virgil into the show. Let me bring Virgil into the show. Virgil, get on the show. Let's have a conversation. I want to actually have a head-to-head with somebody. Get your camera straight. That'll be actually preferable. Anybody who wants to click that link, click that link. I want to have a conversation with somebody about what is going on in Ohio. I want to have a conversation with somebody from the community on what is going on in Ohio. Let me put on my headset so I can hear what's going on. Somebody click that link. Virgil, you should, because you're the guy who was talking to me about it on Patreon. So you should definitely click the link and give us your 2 cents on what you think is going on in Ohio. And more than Ohio, we want to talk about Denver. We want to talk about New York, California. I want to talk about everything. Hustle, they did sell it to Americans. What are you talking about? What do you mean they didn't sell it to Americans? What are you talking about, Hustle? Hustle, click the link. We got Virgil here. Virgil, put on your camera. Let me bring Virgil in here. Virgil, put on your camera. Let's bring Virgil in here. Virgil, get seated, get in front of a window. We're going to have a serious conversation. Let me bring Virgil in here. We're going to have a serious conversation. Virgil, get situated, and then I'll bring you in. Let me know when you're ready. You have to be opposite a window so the light's going against you so you're not silhouetted, so everybody can see you clearly. We're going to have a conversation about this. Hustle, it was sold to the American people because they accept it. Where are the protests? Are there protests in America about giving billions of dollars to Ukraine every month? Where are the protests? No. So what do you mean it's not been so? Americans are more upset about the conversation about reparations for Black America than they are about giving billions of dollars to Ukraine. Go on the internet. Like, there's nobody talking about that. So of course they sold it to them. Come on, man. Let's be realistic, you know? Virgil, are you ready? No, camera. You're fine on camera. I can see you. All you need to do is just. Oh, you're fine. You just need to get in front of a window so we're not backlit. Once you can sit down and you got a window facing you, you're good. All right. Now, guys, this is. You're fine. You know what? Just get situated anywhere. We'll bring you in anyway. You know, don't worry about it. We just need the info. Just get situated. Let me know. I will bring you in. Yeah. Uh-oh. We lost him. All right. So, okay, there we go. Yeah, no, the only thing is that if you have a window behind you, it's difficult to see you. That's the only thing, because then you get backlit completely. There you go. That's it. That's what you want. All right. There you go. All right. All right. We got Virgil in here.
How you doing, brother?
I'm all right, man. So Virgil is actually a long-time supporter. I didn't know he was the same guy. You Lannister on
Yep, the one and only.
all right. Yeah, Virgil has been around for a while on the channel for a couple of years now. About, you know.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Discord is kind of dead, but hey.
You know what? Like, I couldn't. What I'm. We'll talk about that in a minute. Actually, the problem I'm having now is that I have too many platforms.
Mhm.
I need to consolidate my platforms to fewer areas so that I can focus more on the community, because there are some platforms. So, for example, my TikTok is all but dead because they don't. If you look at my TikTok, my main channel, do you know that my videos get 500 views now? I have 500,000 people on there. I get 500 views, 600 views on a video. And people keep sending me messages that, what happened to you? Why don't we see you? And I'm like, guys, it's got nothing to do with me. It's not. They've decided that my material is unfit for consumption, obviously.
Yeah, they probably shadow banned you.
Oh,
That's how they do it.
Oh, no, of course. Of course. Anyway, that being said, what I wanted to ask you, because obviously we were talking about it on Patreon. Thank you very much for your support, as always. I really appreciate your support.
Of course.
What is your perspective on what is going on? Because I've started this by saying, I smell a fish. I think that something is wrong, because it doesn't make sense that no major laws have been changed. Nothing new has happened between 2020 and 2023, 24. But all of a sudden, you have this mass crisis of migrants all across the United States. What do you think about that? Do you think that I'm right to have suspicions? And what are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, you're right. And like you said earlier, it's not a conspiracy theory. It is indeed common sense and full disclosure, as you already know. I'm of Haitian descent.
Oh, I didn't
So,
know that. I didn't know that, actually.
yeah,
I didn't know
I'm
that.
of
Okay.
Haitian descent. And one would expect me to just side with the Haitians willy-nilly. Yeah, and I do understand that, but I'm going to try to be as emotionally detached as possible. And like you were saying, yeah, something is fishy. And I have noticed certain patterns and trends um, with the goal of, from what it looks like, to destabilize America. And it's not just coming from the Haitians. We're talking Venezuelans, we're talking Mexicans, we're even
Ethiopians,
talking
Somalians.
Ethiopians, folks from the Middle East. They've admitted it. Even when Joe Biden, before he became president, he admitted it. He said there's gonna be, I quote him, a stream of immigrants nonstop. He said it over and over. And they actually warned us, and I am not surprised. The only disappointment is the whole animal and pet situation. And I'm like, well, okay, whatever. It might not be true.
No,
Most
you know
likely
what
it
though?
isn't.
Listen, the thing about that animal thing is this. First of all, I'm not going to say it's not true. So I'm going to
Hmm.
start there. I'm not going to be like, it's possible. It's possible.
Hmm. Hmm.
We do know that Americans also eat pets.
Oh, yeah.
That's been documented. So let's not act like this doesn't happen in the United States with American citizens. That's the second part. But you see what happened with that story, if you look into it, because I looked into it before I went live today, is that they tried to pin it on Haitians.
Yeah.
Then they found when all these right wing bloggers and Twitter people got confronted and they said, okay, where's the evidence? They realized nobody has any evidence. All
Hmm.
the videos, and even the guy who took the picture with the Haitian guy with the goose, the dead goose walking down the
Hmm.
street, he said the dude wasn't, it was just a dead goose. Like he just took a picture of this guy because he thought it was weird, you know?
Hmm.
And everybody took that as if the guys are eating pets. Like he said,
Yeah.
he feels bad about it because he didn't mean the picture to become that. He just took it as, look at this crazy guy walking down the street with a goose. But
Hmm.
that became evidence that these guys are doing this. And the point is, everybody started realizing that the videos they were seeing were from American citizens 3, 4 years ago from a
Hmm.
different state who had a situation with a pet that was accused of eating a cat or killing a cat and eating a cat, all of this sort of stuff. It wasn't Haitians. So what did
Yeah.
they do? Within the last 48 hours, it's Africans.
Exactly.
So now it's
Exactly.
so what
And,
happened to
and
the
not
Haitians?
and not just that, but we actually have concrete proof that the Chinese, they've been doing it. It's actually tradition. Yet they're not talking about it.
They're not going to talk about it because it doesn't
They're
fit
not
the
going to talk
narrative
about it.
now. It doesn't fit the
Hmm.
narrative today. Tomorrow, in fact, do you know the funny thing? And let's not, I don't want to get demonetized. I'm not going to say anything too crazy, but let me think how I'm going to phrase this. Give me a sec. All right. So, look, there was a certain illness that happened some years ago, okay?
Hmm.
And some laws got put in for certain groups, okay? And those groups got the law to get put in because certain groups have a lot of pull and a lot of influence on economics in America. Okay. For that reason, those groups are not going to get attacked by the government or
Hmm.
mainstream media under any circumstances.
Hey,
It
man, they
is
got
not
it
going to
made.
happen. It ain't
They've
gonna
got it
happen.
made.
Yes, it is not gonna happen. Because I'm looking at it and thinking to myself that, wait a minute, you're talking to Haitians about that? What about these other guys? Like, what are we talking about here? Do you know how many
It's a per
stories you can bring out?
it's a perfect distraction. And when you think about it, when Trump he brought it up in the debate, he knew what he was doing.
No,
It's
he
very
he knows, he knows,
strategic.
he knows,
Perfect soundbite.
he knows. And also, this is the thing with him. Like people are saying in the chat that Trump is gonna lose and this thing and whatever. No, he's not. And do you know why? I'm gonna tell you why. This is not what you think it is. Let's just
Hmm.
play this tactically. He brings out a story about pets and animals. What happens? Just think about it logically. What happens is that Kamala Harris and the mainstream call him a crazy person. Okay? When they call him a crazy person, first of all, the first thing that happens is that he's galvanized his base, is galvanized now. Because now he becomes a martyr because what he's playing into is a dog whistling for a lot of racist people in America, people who are anti-black, anti-immigrant, anti-African, anti-Haitian. They like that a guy like this is going to say that on the main stage because that's what they really want to believe. Okay?
Hmm.
Because they've been conditioned to be that way,
Hmm.
ironically, by the mainstream media. You did
Hmm.
that. You made society what it is. Okay. So once you have that, that is his base taken care of, set. Now you have the centrists. Now, the centrists who are, they were sort of on the fence. They don't really like either party. They like looking at it. They see him say something crazy like that, and they're just like, well, that's crazy. I don't buy that. All right, fantastic. The left now say, all right, you know what? This guy is too crazy to be a president of America. If he's going to come out and say things like this, he's too crazy to be president of America. You've got to, then they're like thinking, like, you know what, man? You know, I don't know. Maybe he is too crazy, but then you've got this whole situation now of like, which way is this group going to go? The problem you have, and this is why I say it's just brilliant. Technically, what should happen is that the swing vote, which is the black vote, which is what Kamala Harris has been trying to get, should rebel against Donald Trump for what he said. That is what should happen. You should be like, this guy is racist. We're not going to vote for this guy. He's coming out and saying these things about Haitians. We're against him, blah, 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 blah. We're voting for Kamala Harris because of this. That is what should happen. What is actually happening is what we're doing here today. People are asking questions. They're saying, this doesn't make sense. That's actually what's happening. Like everywhere I go, it's like there's people who are dumping on guys. Say, oh, you see, we told you he's crazy, and you guys said that you were not going to vote. Forget about people voting for Donny T or not. I'm talking about the Kamala Harris voter. There are people who were questioning whether or not to vote for her. They're being attacked now, saying that we told you he was crazy. Now he's proved it. And if you're black, for you to even consider not voting for her and putting him into power, because if he gets into power, he's going to deport all the Haitians, deport African immigrants. But it's not going to have the desired effect anymore because everybody's fragmented. Do you think that Africans, Haitians, and Black Americans are united in America? They're not. No, they're not. So a lot of Black America is looking at a situation like this and they're like, well, it's not my problem. That's the real reality. They're looking at it like, okay, well, that's you guys. It's not my problem because when I was asking for my reparations, where were you? That's what a section of guys are thinking. It's like, listen, you're never supporting me. Now that this guy is coming after you, that's your issue. It's not my issue.
Exactly.
And the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying now is that the tactics that are no political tactic is going to have the same effect that it used to have because so many games have been played over the decades. So many played. Thank you, Tora Helms, for the super chat. Thank you so much. Let me give Tora Helms a round of applause. I don't know if this is going to work. Tell me if this works. Do you hear that?
I hear it.
You heard the round of applause? Okay, thank you. Wait, was it low?
It's a good volume, not too low. Perfect,
okay, good.
In my opinion.
Thank you, Tora Helms. Thank you, Tora Helms. Thank you for... There you go.
You see, on the side note, since you brought up the, disagreements amongst, let's just call them African tribes. By African tribes, I mean whether you're Haitian, Jamaican, African American, foundational Black American, whatever you call it. Like it's just divide and conquering, and we're just seeing like one of the byproducts of.
This is the byproduct of it. Exactly.
Yeah.
See, I'm ADOS. I don't agree with FBA. Listen, thank you, XIV. This is the byproduct because the reality is this. What should happen is that all Black people should support the Haitians.
Exactly.
That's what should happen. And all Black people should support the Africans or whatever. But everybody is being used against each other. So I spoke out against Nigerians. I'm a Nigerian. Well, I don't even like calling them, I quote unquote Nigerian, whatever that means. But I am allegedly a Nigerian. So for the sake of what that means, I went out and I said things about Nigerians going against Black Americans and saying that, look, at the end of the day, I don't give a damn about how well you're doing. What have you got to do with Black America getting reparations? How has that got anything to do with you? It's none of our business. It's like, focus on what, yes, I'm glad I worked. I got to America. I got a degree. I'm making money. Fantastic. Congratulations to me. Well done. I did very well. What does that have to do with somebody who's a descendant of slaves? What does that have to do with them? So for me, it's for you to stand there and to now start pointing your finger and telling Black Americans what they should and shouldn't receive is ridiculous.
This
But
topic
again,
alone, this topic alone caused a rift between me and some members of my family. You know,
uh,
like you said, they finger point. Well, not all of them, but like they finger point. Some would think that they're better than African Americans. And me, even though I'm of Haitian descent, I was actually born here in the U.S.,
right,
so I understand both backgrounds. You know,
right.
and I just happen to believe, like, hey, if reparations got approved, I wouldn't, I wouldn't be entitled to it because I have my own history, even
Yeah,
though I was born in the U.S.
you have your own
You
history,
know?
and you know what the funny thing is? Haiti is owed reparations from France.
Oh yeah, and we're still paying them.
You know, I mean, it's
Yeah,
unbelievable. Like
yeah,
that's a whole other conversation. That's a
yeah,
whole other conversation.
we have our own problems to deal with. Like, who are we to like stick our freaking noses in other people's business? Yeah, they're our cousins, they're our brothers and sisters, but I mean, we need to. We have our own priorities.
It's true, but I
Yeah.
think part of the issue that you're gonna have now again is the fragmentation, and the
Hmm.
fragmentation has been caused because every group has tried to use certain sections of the Black community against
Hmm.
other parts of the Black community. So
Exactly.
now, unfortunately for you, you do not even have a unified Black community to exploit anymore because there's so many pieces of them. So you going after the Haitians now is not automatically going to get you the Black vote. It isn't, because people do not see themselves united with these groups. And the reason why this has happened is because of you. It's like, look, when you create a scenario where you pick and choose certain people from a community to lift up,
Hmm.
and then you hold them up as an example of success,
Hmm.
this is the result of that. You see, all this stuff where you look at the celebrities and this stuff, that culture of Black celebrity, hip hop stars, sports stars, and all these sort of people being used as emissaries for whatever agenda the government might have for the Black community, and saying that these are your leaders now, these are the people for you to listen to. Whereas in the 60s and 50s, the leaders were intellectuals. These people
Exactly.
were like learned professors and authors and poets and dignitaries and all this sort of stuff who actually learned things and taught things. You've
Hmm.
shifted from that to
To
people,
entertainment.
not only entertainment. Listen, it's not only entertainment. This is the difference. This is the real key here. The kind of entertainer that has been held up as the leaders of the Black community or the spokespeople are people who are self-professed illiterates. Like they're
Exactly.
self-professed, they didn't go to university or school, they don't really have a worldly education, they have street education, they
Self degradation.
self all of these sorts of things are the people that, and listen, I'm always wary when I have this kind of conversation, because I don't look down on people who pulled themselves out of a ghetto and succeeded. I don't look down on that. I think that is an achievement. However, for me, the idea that as a community we are not looking up to intellect, but we're looking up to bravado, and we're looking up to people who have become rich and are success. Like, look at this billionaire and millionaire. That is not an example of anything.
Hmm.
It's not. It's there is no other culture except the Black community that does that. We're the only
Yeah,
community that does that.
we just glorify the negative things. Like even with me, I mean, I might not look it right now because you kind of call me on the spot, and I'm kind of unkept. But usually I'm clean shaven and everything, and I can't really say I'm on top of the food chain or anything like that. But I've done well for myself,
Mm,
and usually more so than not, like people would be suspicious. Like, oh, what do you do?
mm,
There's a reason behind that, you know. There's a reason behind that, and sadly, I mean, and of course, I do kind of like take offense to it. I don't show it, but I do take offense to it. And you wonder why people like question how you made it to where you are. And that's really sad, in my opinion. And that has a lot to do with what you're saying. We just
right.
value the wrong things. We've been brought up. I've been brought up like every time I watch the TV, it was if it's not Scarface, if it was like I don't know, a black actor or character, they usually made it. They usually got their riches from, I don't know, drug dealings or just something
Exactly.
negative or something
Right.
violent. You
Right.
know, so and
Right.
that's definitely one reason why I joined your Patreon, because I actually see something positive in the future where we could, you in particular, you could like cause a shift like via comic books and such, you know, something
Listen, man.
positive,
Yeah,
like
no,
a great foundation to build
yeah,
upon, you know?
yeah, yeah. No, I think that this is a good moment for me to even talk about something I'm doing.
Hmm.
You see, if more people sort of had your mentality, we would be able to do a lot of great things. You know, I
Hmm.
really believe it because it's about inspiring other people to also take action. So it's not just me. If there were 20 of me, 100 of me, imagine what could happen if there were
Hmm.
multiple people doing what I'm doing. You know, it would be an amazing thing. And I really believe that taking control of our own narrative and our own initiative is the only way. And that's why I keep saying that. And I keep talking about that with books, with comic books. It's the reason why the True History of Africa series I'm doing. By the way, guys, everybody, themerc.io, if you want to sign up to the True History of Africa, if you want to support that and get the books, when I announce the campaign, I'm going to post it on the screen now for you guys to sign up to that. But these sorts of things I think are really, really important for,
Hmm.
let me just put that in there, the True History of Africa Challenge. We post that. Create. There we go. So for everybody who wants to sign up to that. Um, listen, I said something and people looked at me. I said, man, you know, I feel, listen, anybody who's a parent out there who has children, you're black or you're African and you have kids, you should be scared, man. Because what schools, like, how are you comfortable sending them to school? For
Exactly.
multiple reasons. Even when it comes down to the just to safety, to the education that guys are getting, are receiving, and all this stuff. Stuff is scary out there, you know? It really is scary. And I feel my motivation for doing a lot of the work that I do is I want to be able to look back at my life and to look back at my contribution as something meaningful for the long term. That even
Hmm.
when I'm gone, people can still actually access the material that I put out and it has a positive impact on our image and our narrative. That's it. That's just all I want. Which is why I've been doing this now for, it's amazing. It's going on 2 years now. In about a month and a half, it'll be 2 years. And I'm like, that 2 years has gone by like quick. It feels like yesterday that I started. And I'm like, wow, it's been 2 years of constant, because you know, because you're on my Patreon and everything. It's like, this has just been a constant thing for me for 2 years. Like
Yeah.
just constant for two
I've
years.
been watching, man. I've been watching low key in the background, like, man, this guy's still going at
I'm
it.
still going. I'm still going. And that's why I
Yeah.
was like, but you know what? Listen, the truth is I have very up and down days. So
Hmm.
there's days and weeks where I'm down, and I'm down because it feels like you're by yourself, you know? So even sometimes when I come on lives, it's to just feel some positive energy of people who remind me that you're not by yourself. Like, you know,
You're
this is
not
not
alone.
just
Yep.
you. Because a lot of the time I'll sit there, just be like, why am I doing this? Like, what's the point? Night after night, you're staying up till 4 in the morning, then you wake up, you work all day, you make the videos, you post it, and then you post it and nobody responds or this and that. And you're
Hmm.
like, what's the point of doing this? You know, and like you said about the Patreon, it's like, look, when I launched it, I forget even the Patreon or my newsletter or things. Of course, you have these expectations of, man, this percentage of people will join and then I'll be able to do this. But when that doesn't happen, I think what I've got to remember, and which is what I've reminded myself to keep going, you've got to focus on why you do what you do and not what
Hmm.
other people think. I know why I'm doing it and it feels very fulfilling. So I keep doing it because it feels fulfilling. Like when I make these things and I put them out, even if one person replies and says, man, this really affected me, it actually feels great. So I could do other things that I don't get that feeling from, that give
Hmm.
me more money, give me more resources. but I don't have that feeling from it. I don't feel like I've done anything positive to add to the community. But
But
those,
as
go
far as
on.
the silver lining goes, like you could influence the world one person at a time, man. Just do what you love, do what you're passionate about, and obviously passionate about this, and so am I.
No, I am. No, it's, I think for me, it's a calling in the sense that when I think of my childhood and my life, I've always been. When you
Hmm.
just didn't know what it was, but you always had a particular feeling about things. And I always felt this way about Africa and about Nigeria and about my culture since I was
Hmm.
a kid. I
Hmm.
always had a weird attachment to it. So that even when I traveled or I went to other places, I always had an attachment to my heritage
Hmm.
in a sense of privilege. I didn't feel proud of it. It was like a privilege. I was like, man,
Hmm.
I feel like I'm part of something great, you know?
Hmm.
So it was always very hard for people to be racist to me or to disrespect me because I'm like, who the hell are you? Like if anybody
Exactly.
would say anything, I just look at them and like, who are you? Where are you from? What's your
Hmm.
lineage?
Hmm.
Because I knew my culture. So
Hmm.
now that I've started uncovering even more and more, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know anything. There's
Hmm.
so much I didn't even know about how amazing a lot of this history is. And if more of us knew this, it would change everything, which is why I want to make the books. Because I'm like, man,
Exactly.
if these kids grow up, just this is what they learn
Hmm.
as a base level foundation of their history, who's going to be all this stuff that we say about ourselves, the negative will just disappear because you're like, I can't disrespect my ancestors.
Exactly. And you know what? From a strategic perspective, the people who don't have our interests in mind, they're doing the exact same thing. They're targeting the kids, the younger generation.
Yes. Yes.
If anything,
Yes.
they're like, well, screw the adults. They're already set in their ways. But if we get the children, we have their future. So you're targeting the right demographic, the right people.
Look at this comment here. I think we should talk about this because it's interesting. So CNAG says, I'm ADOS. I think you should concentrate on Nigeria. That's good. Concentrate on your own group, which you are proud of. What
Hmm.
does that mean, CNAG? What is your own group? Explain that because that doesn't make sense to me. You see, that kind of thinking is the reason why we're never going to get anywhere.
Exactly.
We're not. There is no such thing when it comes to Black people. And do you know the reason why? Unlike every other group of people, you see this? That's all that anybody gives a damn about.
That's all they see. They
They
don't
don't
care.
care about your language. They don't care
Hmm.
about where you were born. They don't care about whether you were descendants of X, Y, Z, you, whatever it is. That's
Hmm.
all that they see.
Well,
That's
you
it.
see, the thing is, like, folks of other groups, they do the same thing. Yeah, they might be different. One might be Polish, one might be French, one might be English or whatever. But when it comes time to, like, if they have like a common enemy
Oh no,
or a common
yeah,
foe,
once there's a common enemy, everybody comes together. Yes.
exactly. Well, why can't we
Immediately.
do the same? Why can't we do the same?
Well, no, it's because okay, so let's get biblical with this. I'll get biblical.
Hmm.
I have a weird belief that is very controversial, but I actually believe it because I feel like the Bible has some cyclical history that repeats itself. I
Hmm.
believe that the Bible story of this is just me, guys. So everybody listening, please do not take this as if I'm trying to say this is the truth. This is just my crazy theory of like, So please, I feel like Black Americans are like the Hebrews in Pharaoh and Egypt, ancient Egypt, where those
Hmm.
people got, and then Moses said, let my people go. And if you don't let them go, you get cursed. The empire got cursed, and the empire was cursed till they were released. Okay? It almost feels like that is what is plaguing America. That America will never heal itself till they do right by Black Americans, like the descendants of
Hmm.
the slaves. Like, till you do right by that group of people, you will be cursed forever. Like you will, in fact, you will keep getting cursed till the whole empire collapses.
It's karmic justice.
That's what it feels like to me, because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
look at this and I'm like, do you know the only group of people you guys have never done right by is those guys.
Hmm.
Until you do right by these people, you're going to have war after war, problem after problem, depression after depression, conflict after conflict, till you rip yourselves to pieces.
And you know what? They'll
Like,
never give reparations. I know that for a fact.
well, you know, I've got a special video coming out about reparations. You know that, right?
Yeah, never.
That video I've got,
Yeah.
it's going to be very
Yeah.
difficult to get around. The video I've got,
Yeah. Okay.
very, very difficult. And you know why?
Why?
There are some videos that I've not released because I was worried about the impact on my channel.
Okay.
That's one of them. I drew up the plan for it and I said, what I was, and I can release it now because the channel is bigger. This was when I
Hmm.
had like 20,000 subscribers on YouTube and so on. And I was like, listen, I don't know if it'd be a good idea to do this because I'm already dealing with censorship on some places. If I make some crazy reparations video,
Hmm.
and that video, maybe it doesn't take off, then I'll be fine. But if it does, then I'm now have an issue because it is going to cause the kind of conversation that a small channel will not be able to sustain. Like I'll just get my channel removed or something could happen. But now I can actually have that conversation because the way that I look at reparations is actually more logic and pragmatism as opposed to just emotions and so on and so forth. My
Hmm.
video on my concept about it is how can Black America get what they deserve?
Hmm.
That's what it's actually about. I'm not thinking about, what you can get. You see, some people come out with all this nonsense about like, let's just say about what is realistic. I'm not looking at it that way.
Yeah,
I'm
with all
saying,
these stipulations and everything, I just laugh. They're like, yeah, but if we're gonna get reparations, we got to make sure we spend it correctly. Yeah, I do agree, but it's none of your business, dude.
yeah. What,
Uh,
what, what do you say?
No, I usually no. So some okay. When it comes to other groups, right, and they get reparations, quote unquote reparations, they just give it to them willy nilly, no stipulations, no strings
Oh yeah,
attached
no, no, no. Listen, no, they
whatsoever.
can't. No, no, they can't. They can't. Listen. The reason why, in my opinion, reparations for Black America is such a difficult thing to do.
Mm.
Again, I don't want to call it a
Go ahead, go
conspiracy
ahead.
theory, but it's just it would change everything.
That
Like it would.
too.
No, that is the reason. This is why. This is why I say it. It's very simple. You see, you give reparations. Let's just call it 100. Black
Hmm.
America is 100 people. Okay, as 100%. When you give that 100 people reparations, immediately 40% of them are going to go to the strip club, going to go and blow it on cars or whatever. They're gone. So 40% is they've wasted the money. In a
Hmm.
year, they're broke again. Okay. 60% of that 60%, 20 to 30% of that 60 will keep the money like this, invest in themselves, get rich, and absorb themselves back into American society as if they might as well just be white Americans, like they'll just be
Hmm.
Americans, right? That leaves 30%. 20% of that 30%, this is just my hypothesis, 20% of that 30% will start building like Black Wall Street. We'll start like building communities, building little places, investing, build their own bank, create their own thing in America. Okay.
And guess what? And guess what? All we need is that
No,
20 to
no,
that
I haven't even got to
30%.
the 10. I haven't got to that 10%.
Okay,
That's
okay,
the gold dust. The gold dust is the 10%. 10% of Black Americans who get reparations are going back to Africa
okay.
immediately. They're going to take that money, they're going to go back to Africa and invest in Africa.
Hmm.
Mining, land, real estate, all of the, because they're already savvy. The reason why I say is that you see a lot of these people who are like, very tuned into reparations in America, that percentage of people have already done the groundwork. They've already
Hmm.
done the research. They've already looked at what they would want to invest in. They've already looked at Africa. They already looked at Pan-African. And so they're just primed to do it. So if you drop $1 million on their head or 500 grand, these guys within 48 hours, they're gone. And they're going to go over there and immediately start building for themselves a bridge between America and Africa, because what that then automatically does is it gives African entrepreneurship and enterprise a
Hmm.
legitimate option and alternative to working with
Hmm.
the mainstream
Hmm.
immediately en masse, because so many, you're talking about like a few million Africans have money. I mean, Black Americans have money now. So you've got a whole new market where a percentage of them are going to work directly. Now, the reason why I'm saying that that is such a problem is that in modern history, Black people have never really been supported in any sort of way. All that has happened to them is exploitation,
Hmm.
exploitation, exploitation, exploitation. We've never had an era, whether for the last 500 years, that Africans or Black people in whatever part of the world have been supported. Yet they have still excelled in
Exactly.
spite of. Can you imagine what would
Um,
happen?
if we had a support mechanism, exactly.
Exactly. That's why
Yes.
it's not gonna. That's what everybody's afraid of. It's like, my God, can you imagine what these guys would do if you just gave them? It would be ridiculous.
And,
Wait, hold on.
and it's
Let
not
me
even
see this
speculation. It's
super
not even
chat.
speculation. It's fact.
Lemon car. Oh, thank you, all spades. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Let me put this up. I like this. Sinag says that I'm part of the problem. Leave them alone. Sinag, you are the problem.
Bring
I'm a part.
CNAG up here.
No, Sinag is free. I put the link. Sinag can come up. Look, Sinag, the link is there. Sinag, if you want to come up, don't be scared. Sinag, do you want to come on the show? You are completely welcome. Sinag, let me know. I'll give you the link. But Mark, what am I saying, Mark? Sinag, you are the problem. See, if you call me that I'm part of the problem, you are the problem. You see what is going on with the Haitians and the migrants and the people over there that we were talking about in terms of the fact that there is no unification to support any group. It's because of your mentality that every group can be exploited. That mentality is the reason why you will not get reparations,
Exactly.
because you can't even identify when you have allies trying to get you what you need. You can't even identify that. Do you think any of these other groups did it by themselves? You really think any of these groups, the Japanese who got reparations, the Ukraine, they all have allies. They all have
Unfortunately,
lobbies, they have lobby groups, people who are working within government to lobby, invest, put money in, all of them. There is no group that has gotten anything out of the United States government that did it by themselves.
sadly, CNAG was brought up and conditioned by the public school system to think that way. No
Of course.
surprise.
No, I do know what the beauty is, and this is the reason why I wanted to bring him up. And I would love him to come up here, or her. I don't know if it's a she. I would love CNAG to come up on the show, because these statements get made with no qualification. You see what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
they just say the statement. And the reason why is that you're conditioned. You're not
Exactly.
actually thinking for yourself. It's just that this is the rhetoric. So you just keep saying it.
It's
When I
just based
push
on
it,
emotion.
exactly. So when I press you on it and I say, oh, why? What is it that I have said that doesn't categorically support you getting what you want? You've got no response, because everything I'm saying supports what you actually want. So, but your programming is that no, you're African, so you're the problem. Yes,
Hmm.
I'm hearing, but I'm programmed to say you're the problem. That is, you know what? You're actually more harmful than the people not giving you reparations. You're actually more harmful,
Hmm.
because those guys, like, you can actually see it. But when you're working within the community and you're saying that no, you're not gonna blah la la, I'm like, what? The whole point of this live here is that we're talking about what's happening to migrants and the fact that there is no unity in the community, and talking about the fact that if there was unity, everybody would get what they want. Everybody would get what they deserve.
And you know what? They
Oh,
laugh at
oh,
us.
oh, 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 that's true. That's true. That's true. I didn't think of that. CI5 XIV says CNAG might be white and might be a troll.
Oh, okay.
I should
That
have
makes
thought of
sense.
that. That's true. That's true.
But
Um,
CNAG is an interesting name for a white
yeah,
person.
that's true. That's true. I didn't think of that. Might be trolling. That's another thing though that we should think about though. Let's think about this. Do you know what I find really weird is the fact that there are so many trolls in African or black shows and spaces. We don't do that. You don't go to like a conservative right wing racist page
Hmm.
and see a bunch of black people pretending to be whites just trolling them. You just, we don't have like, it's not a pastime that guys enjoy. But these guys seem to enjoy it because the number of times I've seen people on my page who will change their profile picture to a black person and call themselves Tyrone and start commenting and pretending to be black. And you go to their profile page and they've either got no posts, no friends, or all their posts are the most like racially tinged things with a black profile picture. I'm like, what is wrong with these guys?
And man, all I can say is they definitely seem to be more interested in us than the other way around. That's all
Which
I'm gonna
is a
say.
problem.
Yeah,
Which is a problem. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Which is a problem. All right, look, I'm gonna mute this guy because he's being stupid. I'm gonna mute him. Actually, you know what? What I do is I take people's voices. So I'm gonna take Sinag's voice so he can read or she can read and enjoy the show, but cannot speak. That's what I'm gonna do. I like doing that. It's very frustrating for them because they can see and absorb things, but they can't say anything.
Hmm.
Sinag, your voice will be taken. Let me see if I can do this. Actually, let me see. Where is it? There we go. I've got it here. There we go. There we go. All right, I've done it. There we go. All right. Anyway, if you have the answers, you should help Africa. Driver's seat says. What does this say? Bonsu, big whale. Anyway, look, we've got rid of that person. This is the thing. So what I'm doing, back to your point, which I thought was really, really interesting. So you know I have a newsletter. I think you're on my newsletter, aren't you? I think you're on it. Are you on the newsletter?
Yes, you did send me the link.
Okay. You're on the Patreon anyway, so you'll still get my stuff. But so
Hmm.
the newsletter, what I'm doing is that I'm inviting people from my Patreon newsletter and YouTube membership and so forth to I'm starting a book club, a book community to tackle this issue that you're talking about, you know. So I'm inviting my most avid readers and supporters, the people who read a lot of my material, so I can actually see that with their analytics in terms of the people who have been the most engaged with my content. And I'm inviting them to a separate group within the group. So it's still part of the same newsletter mailing list, but it's a separate thing where I will then be sending special offers and special materials to curate my book. So, for example, the Back to Africa handbook, I finished the first draft now, and I
Hmm.
want to test it to just see if I've got everything right. You know what I mean? So I don't want to give it to everybody first of all. I want to give it to a small percentage of people to then give me feedback and be like, we need a chapter on this, maybe a bit more detail, or you know what, I don't even care about this chapter. You can lose that chapter, maybe give us that. Because I think that when I can create that, all, like they say, all you need is 300 dedicated people to achieve a lot, you
Hmm.
know. So once I have like just a few hundred people in this group that will become my sounding board for my material, for my comic books, for the history books, for the audio books. Let me tell you what I'm doing now, and I recorded the first one. I'm doing African parables where I narrate them, ancient African parables, okay? And I'm doing them as audio and video. So there's an audio version, and then the video one is where I use AI and things to create the imagery of ancient African parables. And these are real, genuine parables from different countries in, oh, we've lost, okay, it's back. These are real ancient parables from, um, oh,
Can you hear me?
yes, yes.
Yeah, I don't know what happened,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. These are ancient parables and so forth that I'm creating. And again, these are just experiments. And I don't want to put too much time into anything till I test them and I know that people would think it's great. You see what I'm saying? So if
Hmm.
I can get like even 2,000 people, which is what my goal is, 2,000 people on that list, where whenever I have a new thing that I want to test, I release it to them at a discount, like, half off, 20% off, whatever, because I want you guys to get it and test it for me and just tell me if this is a good idea. And in fact, I'll give you things for free. For example, I'll give you the first few chapters of the Back to Africa book for free and just say, look at this first few chapters and look at the full chapter list. What do you think? What do you think of me doing that? Because I think it's better for me than putting in months of work to just release it to the community and everybody, people are like, we don't really care about this. As
Yeah,
opposed
that's
to
a great
having,
idea. That's a great idea.
okay, okay,
Hmm.
okay. Um, brief, brief synopsis of the Back to Africa book. Very simple. So basically, over the 2 years I've had the platform, a lot of people have come on the platform or in my DMs to ask about visiting Africa, or that they were thinking of repatriating to Africa and asking for advice on what's the best country to go to, what's the process. They don't know where to begin. So I then asked that, hey, would the community be interested in a handbook, which is like a light ebook? I might do a print version, but it's going to be an ebook to start with that just gives you a point by point overview guide to all the steps and things you would need to do if you want to visit or repatriate to Africa, as well as the best countries for healthcare, for education, what the climate is like in certain countries, the culture, um, um, uh, different sectors of, for example, real estate, buying a house, all of these things, the cost of living, the average cost of living for the top 5 countries, so on and so forth. Things that you can just look through this ebook and get a good idea of, like, you know what, that's a country that seems to fit for me. Now I know the steps I would need to take if I was going to move there. That is what I want to create with it. So I put that out to the community and people were like, listen, I would love you to make that. That's just what they said on the videos I put out, that I'd
Hmm.
love you to make that. So I said that, which is what I'm talking to the caller here today. I want to now invite people to my book club that I'm creating, whereby whenever I have a release like this, they will get it first. That's the idea. So it's free. They don't have to pay for the book club. It's just there. But it means that they have the option to get everything first with discounts. Sometimes some things for free. So I'll give you chapters for free, half off, whatever, because the idea is that that community is who's going to test my material when I create it. Because I'm going to be writing a lot of books, man. Like, I'm going to be creating a lot of, like you said, this is now my thing. Like, I'm going to be doing this history of Africa, African parables, audio books. This is my thing now, you know? So I'm very excited about it because I feel like it's one thing to just talk and complain about stuff. And we look at what's happening with Haitians and everything. It's because people just don't know the history. Imagine
Hmm.
if I had the true history of Haiti and kids had it on iPad so that they would just know within a few hours, look through the thing. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. That's the history of
Yeah.
Haiti. So all Haitian kids in America would have access to that from iTunes
Hmm.
in a fun way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's done in a way that they'll enjoy reading it. The parents can get the proper book. They can know about the history. Because when you know it and you understand it, when you then see certain things happening, it's much more difficult for you to vilify these groups because you actually understand why it ended up that way. Because people do
Hmm.
not know the persecution that Haiti as a country has experienced because they stood up to colonialism and won. That was the key thing. They won. That is what they've been punished for.
Hmm.
Haiti has just been punished because they beat the French and they kicked them out of the
Exactly.
country. Had they lost, they wouldn't be in the situation they're in.
Exactly. They'll be like the Dominican Republic.
Yep. They'll be like all
Dominicans
these other
way.
places. They'll be like all these
Yeah.
other places. Haiti is in the situation it's in because they won. And these countries did not want them to be a symbol of what other people could do. It's like, oh, if anybody else tries this, this is what's gonna happen to you.
Oh man, they're so thorough in suppressing knowledge. Like it just amazes me, man. It just amazes me. Like the one group of people. I mean, there are many groups, but like it's just like one example of a group of people doing what they're supposed to do, which might influence other groups abroad. I mean, man,
Is who?
That would be amazing.
Oh, if we just had one. No, yes, no, exactly. But you know what? Look, it's like what you said. Like I looked at the situation that is happening right now, and I said, look, all these migrants in the United Kingdom and the US and all over the world, in France and everything, they're being used as what's the word, scapegoats for
Hmm.
all the failings of the various governments. Like the governments have all failed their people, their failed states, and they're using these guys as scapegoats for that. Because the reality of it is that, look, these economic situations existed before these migrants were there, and they're going to exist even if you kicked all of them out. It's not going to change
Hmm.
anything, you know. And also the timing of it, because it's all flaring up so close to an election, you've got to feel that it has
Hmm.
something to do with the election. It
Hmm.
does on both sides of the
It does.
fence, you know. So from my point of view, I stand back and I say, well,
Hmm.
I don't believe that this is going to have the impact that people want it to have. I don't think so. I don't think that this is going to suddenly make Black America or Black people in America who are voters, who are registered voters, suddenly vote for the Democrats. I don't. I don't think it's going to have any impact
Yeah,
whatsoever. I don't believe so.
yeah,
You
we're
know,
not that easy. We're not that easy. We have hundreds of years of experience. We should know better by now, and we'll
well,
see
last
in a
election, I
month or
would.
two
Last
what we.
election, I wouldn't be saying this. I wouldn't be saying this in 2020. I'm saying it now. In 2020, it would have worked because it did work. The community was frightened into voting for the Biden Harris tickets. You know, of like, listen, you do not want Trump to uh to you don't want Trump, so they were frightened into doing it. I just don't believe it's going to work this time because on one hand, I will say this: social media today is the most powerful than it's ever been.
Yeah,
Like right now, social media is I've never seen anything like it. Like I'm glad, for example, that I got on when I did 2 years ago because it's now become and in the next 2 years, who knows where it's going to be.
exactly. That's a really good question, and it's actually one of my concerns. And I'm sure you heard about what happened to the founder of Telegram and everything.
Yeah, he got
How he got
arrested, didn't
arrested in
he?
France. Yeah, he got arrested. I heard he was released, but under certain conditions. I just happen to think like they're gonna start. I don't know. I don't know, man. It just won't be as free as it is now. So it's only a matter of time until it changes. So in the meantime, let's just take advantage of it as much as we can.
No, no,
That's all I
you,
can say.
no, no, 100%. But you see, this is why I told you about email and mailing lists. You can't control that because that's your own ecosystem. As long as you have people's emails and you have your
Hmm.
own newsletter and your own mailing list, it doesn't matter what these platforms do. Like my ambition is to get off these platforms. Like that
Exactly.
is what I'm really trying to do. I don't want to be beholden to these platforms anymore. I want to be able to get off because, like I said, what the TikTok thing is one of the most egregious things I have ever seen. For you
Hmm.
to have that many followers and for you to be getting less than 500 views on
It's a sin. That's a sin.
it's sinful
Yeah.
because what it means is that they are literally saying we are not going to show this to anybody that follow, because the way I look at it is like this: those people who follow me made a choice to follow me. Who are you to tell them what videos of mine they can see when they made a decision to follow me?
And to be frank, like even though I'm a subscriber on YouTube, I rarely ever get your notifications. The only
Right,
reason why I know about this one is because I'm on the Patreon and I
yeah,
had an idea of when you were going to pop up.
right, right.
So,
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it's crazy. The Patreon is really cool. I need to promote it more. I haven't promoted it
mhm,
at all, really. I should promote it more. What I like about the Patreon is that, as in terms of support, it's a great financial support system. Um, because of the way it's structured, that you have your own chat room, you can release videos, you can do it live, you can do all of these sort of things. But Patreon has issues now because if you sign up to support somebody on Patreon from iOS, Apple takes 30% of what you donate. Yeah. If you do it on yep. So to support somebody on Patreon, it's better to support them through the website and not iOS, not the
Not
app.
on the phone. Okay.
Yep. You have to sign up through the so that's part of what I meant, that I'm now thinking I need to consolidate my community. Like I feel like maybe as much as I have a problem with YouTube, I should bring everybody to YouTube. You
Hmm.
see what I'm saying? And then just have a donation system from Patreon, not Patreon, from I have a convert kit. I have all these other things where there's a donation system. So people can just be like, listen, we want to just donate to you one time, one time, one time. Okay. But if I can keep everybody on YouTube and just set up the membership system on YouTube, they take 30% as well. They do.
Hmm.
But the beauty of that is that that is one less thing for me to worry about. It's one less community for me to worry about. Because then I have this, I have the newsletter, which is standard. That is the thing I'm focusing on, like that, the newsletter. So I've got that, this, and then I can just look at Instagram and TikTok as just outreach when I just post a video to let people know I've posted something. Because I think that what my problem is now is my bandwidth is too thin. I'm spread too
Good then,
thin.
yeah. Hmm.
And I'm to be creating books and creating the comic books and doing these things, it's almost impossible. So I think it's better that even if I'm going to lose some percentage of the funds, that everybody who's supporting me is on YouTube, because we can then, you see, this show is great. Like these sort of conversations are great. You can talk to me. You know what I mean? Like, because guys were telling me that a lot of people who do what I do, they don't have an opportunity to just talk to the person, like a man to man or woman to man or whatever. So I
Hmm.
like this sort of communication with my supporters, because you know that you're supporting a person. You know, it's not just a idea. But I'm not able to do that if I'm on too many
Yeah.
platforms,
It's stressed too 10, man.
stretched way too thin. But anyway, look,
Yeah.
I want to know, what are you working on? Can you tell, like, what is your thing? Do you have any projects you want to announce or tell people about? What are you working on?
All right. So to keep it short, I'm in a real estate business. Um, I'm in a bit of a hiatus, but as of right now, I've been investing into fintech companies. I believe I brought it up to you before.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes. So right now, that's what I'm banking on. But in the meantime, um, I'm just figuring out, because if it works out, my overall objective is to just be an investor. Like if I see a business that I believe in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'll be willing to like fund them, finance them, etc. So you, on one hand, is a perfect example. So well, we'll just see. So right now it's just a waiting game for me. In the meantime, I'm just enjoying my life.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It took me a while to get there. It took me a little over a decade. But you know what? This hiatus is much needed, and give me about 3 to 5 years, and if everything works out, when it works out, you'll definitely be hearing back from me.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, look, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's great for people to work together, and I wish more people who are in the finance sector would pair up with creators, and artists,
Hmm.
and be like, look, I'm a finance person. I'm not creative, but I make money. I just want to support you, so you can
Yeah,
continue to
exactly.
make what you make.
That's exactly what I do. I look for entrepreneurs. Like if I believe in what they're working on, like hey, I'm all for it. And if I have the funds, I'll be more than happy to support them.
Mm,
Because I've
mm,
been on the other end. I used to own a coffee company,
right,
and I I didn't have anybody backing me up, and I know what it's like to be. Yeah, I know what it's like to be thrown under the bus because I've spoken to people. They're like, "Yeah, we'll support you or
right,
whatever," and then nothing ever happens. So I know what it's like.
right.
Um, yeah. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely really tough. Which is why I actually try to express to people how big a deal it makes when people donate and support my
Hmm.
channel. I tell them, I say,
Hmm.
listen, guys, think about it. 100 of you put $10 a month in.
Hmm.
That's 1,000. That
Hmm.
goes a long way to paying editors to doing things, let alone 100 people put $100 a month. Like, what I'm saying is that it scales so much
Hmm.
that the amount of stuff that could be achieved if you had, like I said, you only need 300
Exactly.
serious dedicated people and you can do so much.
It's quality over quantity,
Yes.
always. You
Yes.
know, it's kind of like what you're doing now, which is completely natural, especially if you're figuring out what your niche is. You start in a broad fashion and then eventually you narrow it down to like exactly what you're looking for. You know,
Yeah.
same thing with clients or investors. You know, you don't need too many people as long as you find the right people, and they don't need a lot of money, but they put their money together consistently
Right.
and they believe in your mission. Like you're good. You're in the clear.
No, no, I do agree. And I think even, with the conversations that we've had today, I think it really is pertinent to this that everybody's got to help each other because what the Haitians are going through, what the African migrants, I think the more you learn about the history of these countries and why they're running away from their countries and why they're going to America, and you understand that. And if now Black America with resources are able to start forming relationships with African companies, Haitian companies, starting to invest in those companies, building bridges between those two communities, maybe you'll create a situation where these people do not have to leave anymore, or you can actually
Hmm.
become, I don't know how many, is it 5 trillion or 8, 9 trillion? How many trillion dollars does Black America spend annually?
Oh
Some
my God.
crazy amount of money,
Yeah,
some
it's a
trillions.
crazy amount of number. Yeah.
You know that Black America could single-handedly they could actually resolve their own problems
Yeah.
single-handedly because you have the resources. But the problem is, which is what I mean about conditioning of mind and culture, is that we've been done a disservice as a whole community, from
Hmm.
Africa to Black America to Black Britain and so forth, in that you've allowed the oppressor to teach you and to educate you. And their goal, nobody teaches the servant to build tools that will take them down. It doesn't make any
Exactly.
sense. So
Hmm.
you will never be given the tools to free yourself, psychologically or physically. It's never going to happen as long as you're being educated within that system. So, till you understand that you have to educate yourselves to build the kind of generation that is going to actively prevent the kind of crazy migrant crisis that we're having in Ohio and Denver and all sort of stuff, and New York and LA and you need to create a generation that from youth, they know the history, like Captain
Hmm.
Traore or Burkina Faso, he knows his history. So compared to all his peers who are soldiers he's like, nah, I've got to put myself forward to take on the mantle of saving my country because I know what is going on. We all have to look at ourselves and say that, look, man, we need to take that responsibility ourselves and stop looking for somebody else to help you because they won't do it. They don't have any incentive to do it. And the worst
Hmm.
mistake that you can make is trying to explain yourselves to the white American population.
Hmm.
That is the part of it that I think is the biggest fallacy is the fact, and this is the problem that I have with Democrats and the left personally and liberals. They perpetuate the idea of you explaining yourself to white society.
Hmm.
Hey, come, let's talk. Let's have a debate. Let's have a town hall. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. We've been having conversations for 400 years.
Yeah.
They were having conversations with chiefs in Africa when they were stealing people. So what I'm saying, like, what is a conversation going to do? The reality is that no, no, no. We need to have a partnership where we're
Hmm.
having detailed strategizing of how you can help us help ourselves. We do not want
Hmm.
you to do anything for us.
Hmm.
That
No
is not the
handouts.
point. No, no,
Exactly.
we don't want you to do anything for us. That's the thing I keep telling people. Reparations is not a handout. That's business. It's money
Yep.
owed. It's not a
Exactly.
handout. This is just business. You need to look
Hmm.
at it as a business transaction. You did not pay for any of that for centuries. You owe the money. And in normal law, you would owe it to the descendants of the people you cheated. That's how it would work in a
Hmm.
regular court of law. So, what makes you think you don't have to do that now when you've done that to millions of people? A class action, you've heard of a class action lawsuit? That's basically what this is. It's a class action lawsuit of all class action lawsuits. That is literally
Yeah,
what reparations is.
They'll try to say the current generation had nothing to do with what their ancestors did. Yeah, okay.
That,
That's their main excuse. So it
no,
had nothing to do with us. It
no,
wasn't us. I'm like,
I agree. No, listen, wait for my video. Wait for
okay,
my video. My video takes care of that.
all
My
right.
video, like my video literally takes care of what you just said. Because what I've come up with, they've got now what I've come up with in my video, anybody who goes against it will show themselves for what they really are. Because if you go against what I say in the video, your issue is not that you don't want to pay it. You simply do not want Black Americans to have reparations. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm,
That's the difference. When you watch the video I make, if you come away from that video disagreeing with what I propose, your issue is not the case of, well, I didn't do anything. It's not me. It's not me. Your problem is that you simply do not want Black America to have it.
yeah, because that they don't have a problem with other groups and reparations.
Listen, like I said, wait for the
Yeah,
video. Wait
yeah.
for
All
the
right.
video. Wait for the video. Remember when I
Okay.
put out the Black Panther video and nobody could argue with what I said in Black Panther video? When I put out the Wakanda Forever video, nobody could argue with what I said in the Wakanda Forever video. I've got two videos, one on reparations and one on Black Lives Matter. When my Black Lives Matter video comes out, ain't nobody going to be able to argue with me on that. When my reparations video comes out, ain't nobody going to be able to argue with me on that. Because again, the key is that once you look at things from the perspective that I like to look at things, it's very difficult because I will never come out and put out a video when I haven't thoroughly looked at it from all sides, where I'm like, look, let me
Mhm,
pretend I'm them. So my reparations video is looking at it from the perspective of what if I was a white person who doesn't really care about Black people, but I'm not racist. You see what I'm saying?
mhm,
That's my
mhm,
perspective. I'm a white person. I'm not racist. I don't hate Black people, but I'm not going to screw myself for their sake. I'm not going to pay more taxes to pay them reparations. Now, that is the perspective that I'm starting from with my
mhm,
concept, because the concept I have, anybody who comes out and says, oh, no, you simply do not want these guys to have it. That's
mhm,
it. And therefore, it exposes because my goal with my video is to expose the insincerity and the disingenuity of the entire conversation. That is my point with the video, that is to show that everybody who is pretending to have the conversation, they're not really having the conversation,
mhm,
because there is an economy of suffering in the world. People make money off the conversation for reparations. People make money off the conversations for civil rights. They don't actually want civil rights, because there's certain things you could do to actually get what you want. What you
mhm,
want is just to have a place in the conversation so you can
mhm.
make a living. That's
Exactly. They're
it.
milking the cow.
Yeah, they don't want to change
That's
anything. The
exactly
thing is
what it
that
is.
they just suit up every day to go and rant and rave and have conversations and things. But I'm like, guys, if you take a step back and you really look at this for what it is, there are very, very clear pathways to
Mhm.
resolving all of these issues that leaves everybody untouched.
Yeah, but and the thing is, like, if we solve it, there's going to be nothing for them to talk about. Hence, no money in their pockets.
No, it's worse than that. If you solve
Mm.
it, what then happens is empowerment.
Oh yeah.
That's what the real fear is. Because if you solve something like that, okay, and you actually come to a solution to it, it frees up the mind to think about other things. One of the biggest afflictions for the Black and African community is that you do not have enough space in your mind to dream. There's no room, because
Hmm.
your mind is filled with survival.
Hmm.
That is all that you have time to do, is to survive and to deal
Hmm.
with white supremacy and all the problems, that generational trauma and all this. When you free up that space, all of a sudden you have space to actually start thinking about the kinds of things that white people have had time to think about.
Exactly.
You will just suddenly have I'm like, wow, okay, I haven't got anything else to do today. It's even that old joke that people make about, if you hear a story about somebody dying for jumping out of a plane or off a building or getting killed by a bear or an eagle or a polar bear or something. I don't even need to look at the story. It's like, if somebody got killed by a tiger in the jungle, I'm like, it's not going to be a Black person. It's just,
True.
I'm not even, it's just not. Like, there's just the likelihood of that is what? The only way the person will be black is if somebody put them there. Like,
Hmm.
you were trying to get them killed, you left them there. It's very unlikely. And the reason why is that for the average black person, life is an adventure, is a
It's too
survival
precious.
adventure. No, it is a survival adventure. Just living is already a bungee jump. For a guy in the ghetto, he's bungee jumping every day. Every day he leaves his house to go to school. That's a bungee jump every day of his
Uh huh.
life. Why is he then going to put an extra bungee jump by strapping a rope to his legs and jump off a bridge? That's like the craziest thing to do. It's like, look, my life is a bungee jump. That is the society, let alone an African. No, African. There's no such industry. There's no such industry. Nobody's doing that en masse in Africa, doing crazy stunts. It's like, who? Because life
You know
is a
what?
stunt.
I'll admit, full disclosure, I have a background. Before I got in the real estate business, I have a background with the military, and we've done some pretty extracurricular stuff.
No,
But
but
I'm
you're
a
in the
little older
military,
now.
though.
I've calmed down.
No, but you're in
So
the
I guess,
military. You're in the
huh?
military. That's different. You're in the military.
Okay.
That's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a civilian who just
Yeah.
decides that, hey, I'm a lawyer, but how about I jump off a building? Like, that's just a
Yeah.
normal.
I'm a civilian now, and I ain't doing no crazy stuff. I'm
No, I mean,
done.
if you're in the
I value.
military, that's a
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
mindset. Like, you're already risking your life potentially. You're putting that's a different thing. I'm just talking about guys, where you do things, and I'm thinking, what were you doing there? Like, what were
Yeah,
you?
man.
Why were you even there? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, those sorts of things for me. And I'm saying that to just make a point that you need to create like, when you look at the migrant situation that's happening, you need to understand the mindset of a lot of these immigrants who are coming to
Mhm.
America. By the time they've gotten there, the things they've seen, there's nothing you're going to do to them that compares to what they've experienced. For a lot
Exactly.
of
That's
them,
one thing Americans don't
they
understand.
don't understand. They're like, these people, what they've experienced, this is paradise to them. Like, living on this,
Mhm.
like, it's preferable to be in that situation in America than to be in the situation that they're coming from. Not all of them, but a lot of them,
Mhm.
you know? So, and again, this is not because people like bringing this up, and I'm not saying that there is not a criminal element in every group that comes over to any country. There is.
Mhm.
There is. I mean, there is always that. So I'm not saying that that doesn't exist, but it exists in all sides of the fence. But I think that the most important thing is that when you don't control the microphone that you're speaking through, you don't actually have any control of these things, because even in
Mhm.
America as we stand today, there is no network that is yours in America.
Yeah,
That's
we
like
don't.
America.
Yeah, we don't control the airwaves.
You
That's
don't control it.
definitely
No, no,
yeah, that's definitely a priority
no,
that we need
no,
to work on.
no. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. I mean, you do. And I, like I said, this independent media that we have, these systems of being able to, me even being able to do a live show like this, sometimes I do lives like this and part of me feels, man, I don't want, should I leave this up? Should I let these people hear this? That always goes through my mind because, first of all, I know that it's not going to make that big a difference to a lot of people. But also, I don't want my platform in any way to be adversarial,
Hmm.
to feel adversarial. I know I have a forceful way of talking, but really
Hmm.
the essence of what I say is about autonomy and self-sufficiency. It's like I really just
Hmm.
really pushing for people doing for self and making moves that will create some kind of level of autonomy. But it's
But
hard.
to some people, to certain groups, it's a threat.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
even the person I banned, they're probably a troll. But again, it's like, the concept of an African or a black person thinking for themselves is very, very antagonistic to some people. Like, just
Hmm.
having your own thoughts and saying that, look, this is what I think. It might not be aligned with the status quo is troubling for some folks. And I'm now, which is why I'm even setting up, trying to, focus on my most dedicated group of people, is that I realize that in order for me to be able to put out the information that I need to put out, I'm going to need my 300.
Hmm.
I'm going to need my 300. Like, I need 300 people who are down.
So if you don't mind me asking, what's an estimate of like how many people you have now? Like,
Oh,
how far along are you?
of this group. All
Yeah.
right. So, okay. So of my newsletter group, I have about 1,500 people who are actively, like, they read everything.
Okay.
Those are the people I'm going to invite to this community first, to this segment first. Okay. So they'll get an invitation, and the Patreon community, my paid Patreon. So it's my paid Patreon, that group, and my YouTube membership, my paid YouTube membership. I'm going to invite them and say, guys, you're invited. It's a free invitation to be part of this group. Then I have 20 people, 319, 320 people who already signed up for the True History of Africa Challenge. So they've basically said, when you're ready to do this initiative, we're ready to buy. Some of them said, I'll buy all the versions, audiobook, ebook, print book, everything. That is a very important group because they've already expressed that, you know what, we're ready to drop dollars to buy, to support this initiative because we think it's important.
Hmm.
If from all of that group, so what is that? That's like, that's 1,500 plus 300. Let's say there's some overlap. Let's say there's about 1,500 total, 2,000.
Hmm.
If from that group, there are 300 people who can put 100 in for anything, that's 30K. You can make Crusaders is getting made. At least one or two of those books will get made. You see the Haitian, because when I looked at that Haitian thing, I was like, yo, maybe I should make Haiti one of the first four.
Yeah. So I've always thought of Haiti as like a satellite
No, it's
country to
satellite
Africa.
Africa. No, it's the satellite
Yeah.
African country.
I've always thought of it that way.
So I was like,
Mm.
maybe I should make
Yeah.
Haiti one of the first four, because that gives a connection to America, that,
Hmm.
a country that's right next to America. So I'll do 3 countries in mainland Africa and maybe make one of the countries Haiti, because
Hmm.
I think if people really just have the Haitian history, not the revolution or what, no, just the history of this is how it started. These are the important points in the history of Haiti. These are the contributions. These are the things. This is how things got to where they are today. We don't have that anywhere. There's nowhere that people can just go and get that from A to Z. You have to go and read this book, then read this book on this part, then read. I'm like, people aren't going to do that. They're not going to do
Hmm.
that. I want to provide that for people that know you can just come here, and for my audiobook, you can go jogging in the morning, and over the course of 5 jogs in a week, you've gone through the history of one of these countries.
Hmm.
See what I'm saying? Do you know how amazing
Yep.
that would be?
That would be amazing.
That would be
Very convenient.
amazing. I'll just be
Hmm.
jogging to work and just listening to the history of Nigeria, the history of that is sort of, but the thing is, the work it takes to produce this, that's one, a lot of work. The second factor is the audience, which is why I'm making these lists. I'm like, if I know that there's an audience for it, that people have committed, and I have 2,000 people, like, I'm going to get it, then it makes sense for me to put the time in, because I know that even if nobody else gets it, this number of people will make it worthwhile to do it.
Hmm.
Period, man. So yeah, to answer your question, like, I have maybe at 1,000 people, and if out of that, maybe 1,500 total that I'll send to, and I'll see who responds. I will just have to see. And like you said, I'll just keep trucking along. I have a massive video. Oh man, this video I just made, the assassin, what's it called? Is A Time to Die, the assassination of African leaders.
Hmm.
I finished that today.
Okay.
That video got finished. That's a big video. That's a big video.
Looking forward to that one.
That's a big
Okay.
video. So I'm gonna set a premiere on Patreon first. So I'll premiere it on Patreon and my newsletter first. And then it's gonna go on YouTube membership. So all my member channels are gonna get it first. And then at some point it will go wide. But that list is a crazy list, man. the amount of people they've killed.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Till you see it in a list, it doesn't hit you. When you watch this video, even when I finished the video, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
I was like, they killed everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. That's what I'm talking like. I think there's like 15, 14 names, something crazy.
Anyone who thinks for himself and who wants to better their respective countries,
Gone.
it just never ended well for them,
It is so
including Gaddafi.
God, no, but it's so scary because why I'm saying it's scary is this is that people will try and say, oh, your conspiracy theory is evident. Do you know what is weird? Why is it that everybody who tried to help Africa is dead? But all the presidents who exploited Africa, looted Africa, have lasted 40, 50 years.
And they're called heroes,
No, forget even the hero.
right?
All these guys, the West does business with them actively for 4 or 5 decades. They don't talk
Hmm.
about democracy with them. Biya of Cameroon has been there for 50 years or something. Gabon, Bongo, 40 something, 50 years. All these guys have been there for decades. Why are you not removing them? You see what I'm saying? Why is
Yeah,
France, England?
because it was never about,
It was
because
never
it was
about,
never
it's not
about
about that.
exactly. Yeah, it was never about democracy in the first place. That's a telltale sign right there. But
Eh,
yet they're gonna call you a conspiracy theorist. Like I've been called conspiracy theorist so many times. Like I got my skin's thick like bamboo. I don't even care anymore.
But wait a minute, what part of America are you in? Where are you? What
Well,
state?
well, well, I'm in Georgia right now, but I'm originally from New York. Yeah,
Oh, you're from New York. Well, that's better.
yeah,
Georgia.
yeah,
Oof. Yeah.
yeah.
What in Atlanta? Were you in Atlanta or you in Georgia, Georgia?
Georgia, about an hour and a half south of Atlanta. Yeah, man.
Better be careful,
Yeah.
man.
Hey. At least I know who's who. At least I know who's
No,
who
no, true.
over there.
Yes, no, no, you do. Yeah, no, that is for
I'd
sure.
much rather live that way. If they don't like you, I'll know. All right, I know
Yeah,
who
yeah,
to
yeah,
look
yeah.
for.
Because
Whereas in New York, it's a hit
you
or
don't,
miss. You're like, are
you
you
don't
being
know.
friendly with me because you're actually my friend, or
Right,
you know?
right, right,
So,
right. Yeah, yeah. No, because Georgia, I mean, that was the Confederate headquarters.
oh
That was
yes.
like the epicenter of the whole thing. So, listen, man. Look, let's bring this to a close. At the end of the day, um, it's one of those stories that I think it's just sad that it's come to this where groups of within the Black community are being used against other groups within the community. Um, I think it's just important that we see this for what it is and that we are able to leverage ourselves to do better, and try and figure out how we can make sure this sort of thing doesn't happen in the future. And I think the only way is through information and education that we
Hmm.
control. You know,
Hmm.
we've got to have control over these things, and that is what my goal is. That I just want to create an ecosystem, which is why I'm creating that little sub community. Is that, man, that sub community will define my content, because that sub
Hmm.
community, if that sub community says, listen, you make something, we'll buy it, we'll support it, then we will generate every book, every comic book, and I will be able to test things with that community. They will dictate what we do. They
Hmm.
will thank you, D Brusco, for becoming a member. Thank you, D Brusco, and latest member of the YouTube. Oh, by the way, before everybody goes, the YouTube channel membership gets my videos early when I make my premium videos. And they also have access to the archives of lives that are not on the public access. So if you're on my YouTube membership, that is one of the main perks, is that when I release a premium video like this videos that I'm talking about now, you're going to get it before anybody else, but also you're supporting the platform. If you want to support me separately, I do have a Patreon, but please do not support the Patreon via the iOS. Support the Patreon via the website. Go to the Patreon website to support the Patreon. Do not go to the thing. Newsletter as well is great. You can get on there. That is also having your book. Having you book is a comic book is an excellent idea, children. Yeah, the comic book is available. You can get the comic book, but we're not talking about that today, but you can actually get that as well. Regardless, guys, we're going to shut this down now. Do you have any thoughts before anything, last words, Virgil, before we shut down?
No thoughts for now, man. I already aired out what I had to say. Yeah, thank you for allowing me to speak my mind on your platform. Thank you.
Oh, no, no. Listen, I'm very grateful for all of your supports. Like I said, I remember you from all these years of supporting my platform. You followed from TikTok to Discord to Patreon here. You know, it's because of guys like you that I'm able to keep doing what I'm doing. So thank you very much for everything that you've your support.
Thank you, my brother.
All right. All right, guys, we're shutting this show down. Thanks to everybody. Like I said, I'm very grateful to my community that continues to support what I do. Thank you to Dee Brusco for being the latest member of the YouTube community. Thank you, Dee Brusco. I appreciate that as well. Everybody else who wants to join the YouTube community, feel free. It gives you access, like I said, to the archives on YouTube. And it's obviously for people who like residing on YouTube and do not want to move anywhere else. If you do want to move elsewhere or you do not mind, like I said, you go to the website of Patreon. This is the Patreon website right there. If you want to support my work, support my material, you pick one of the tiers there. That is where we have our own chat room and we talk about things behind the scenes when I'm thinking of what concepts or what ideas of videos I want to make. And finally, we have the newsletter. The newsletter is right here as well, www.alkableland.media. You can sign up to the newsletter right there so that you are always in contact. Wow, guys, what a show. What a show. Thank you so much to everybody that has joined in. I think that I'm going to be doing this on Sundays at this time. I used to do this on Sundays a little bit later than this, but now I want to be doing them at 12 noon Eastern. I think that that is actually a lot easier for me to make that happen. So we'll be back again next Sunday. All right.